Good day, traders. Hope you guys are good, and welcome to this week's segment of our market breakdowns. So, I am kind of back. I took a week's break, but yeah, hopefully we can start working, right? Without wasting any time, I want to start by looking at Nasdaq. So, this is from our last analysis. As you can see, let me remove this. As you can see right here, the market is in a long-term downtrend, right? We had this high over here as a source of liquidity and kind of filled in this gap over here. I'm not sure if you can see it. Sorry, I'm not sure if you can see it. It's this one over here. There's a small fair value gap here, as you can see with this wick over here, right? And the downtrend is still intact, right? Considering the fact that on our high, we didn't have a full break or structure. We just had a liquidity grab. So had we seen what you call this, a strong ERC candlestick, I would have had another different opinion. But because the market broke and immediately went back into this range, for me, it's a signal of a false breakout, right? Now, we have this low over here where I think the market might go to take profit. So let's go to the daily. As you can see right here, we got a trade, but it was not so long that the market eventually went up to take us out of this trade at break even. So yeah. Let me just remove these things. So right here, you can see, let me remove this also. This is the fair value gap that we've identified on the weekly. Before that fair value gap, you can see that they are equal highs here. So the market grabbed liquidity from a weekly high and also grabbed liquidity from the daily equal highs and then changed direction, right? Over here, you can see that there's been a change of character, right? There's been a change of character. The market went again to take out this gap over here and now has closed with a strong ERC candlestick towards the downside. Now, I'm expecting the market to grab some bit of liquidity. So if we go back to the weekly, this is the weekly high, this is the weekly low. Now, let's go back to the daily. Right. Previous weekly high, previous weekly low. Right. And then this is the previous daily high. Right. What I'm looking for right now is a liquidity grab from either the previous weekly high or the low, right? So, and also considering the fact that there's a gap right here. So I'm expecting an induction in the next coming weeks that will either reverse at this order block over here or take out Friday's high or take out the previous weekly high before going into the downside. So overall, I think the market is going down, and I think we've seen a lot of confirmations that the market is going down, right? But what I want to see, especially in the beginning of the week, is the market changing direction, or I want to see an induction towards the upside before before we have a midweek reversal and the market starts moving towards the downside. I hope that makes sense. One thing you need to note, though, is that this zone over here is not confirmed. And for it to be confirmed, it has to break through this zone over here. You understand? And so, hence, I expect the market to take out areas of liquidity. So, for example, if the market is able to break through this zone over here, then I'll place a limit order here on this price. But if the market is unable to break through this zone over here, then I'm going to be looking at trades or are looking for trades at areas of liquidity. Let's move on to other pairs. Okay, so the next pair that we're going to be looking at is USDCHF. If you remember the last time we were looking at it, I've identified that the market was manipulating lows and eventually price was supposed to go up. So how I make sense of this is that you're in an uptrend, right? And in an uptrend, people will take profits. By people, I'm talking about the big players in the market. There are going to be certain price points where they're going to take some of their profits, right? And the market is going to be sluggish, or the market is going to be slow because there are less orders in the market. And what's going to happen most of the time is that you'll see a sort of like a counter trend movement, right? And that movement is naturally or is usually slower than the overall trend, right? I know this is technical analysis 101. We call that counter trend movement a correction, right? Now, some of the things that you'll see in a correction is that you'll see a manipulation of the lows, right? This is a reaccumulation phase. And I think I've covered this when I was talking about it in the Wyckoff video. You understand? Now, the market, in my opinion, does this movement over here because the people who are interested in buying in the first place are trying to move price lower so that they can add more positions at the lowest price possible, right? So in how I see it is that they're trying to make price lower so that they can be able to add positions at a more favorable rate. Hope that makes sense. So now for me, or how I analyze this, the favorable rate was at this zone over here. So the market filled out all of the outstanding fair value gaps, tapped into the zone, and now is changing sentiment. You understand? And so I think this can be the beginning of a new trend or the continuation of that trend. Now, usually people will wait for the market to break through this previous high. But how we trade it, because we are seeing this on the higher time frame, how we're going to trade this is that we're going to go on lower time frames, identify opportunities there, and then take our first profit here. And then if the market breaks this, add more positions. Hope that makes sense. So now the market went into this nested daily zone here after taking liquidity and is now forming a breaker, right? There are no fair value gaps right here. So the market does not necessarily have incentive to go all the way to the downside unless it's taking out this liquidity over here. So unless the market is going down to take liquidity, we can assume that we will see a continuation towards the upside. Now, on the 4-hour, the price action here looks like a correction. So we had this uptrend, and now we had this sort of like consolidation. Now, the market eventually took out the lows, manipulated the lows, and we saw this grab of liquidity over here, right? And it's a signal that price is ready to continue towards the upside. Now, we also have this area of liquidity that the market can take out before going towards the upside because this is the weekly low or the previous daily low. The market can take it out before moving towards the upside. Or we can expect a breakout from a structure. So a conservative one will be here. You can wait for a breakout above this with a strong ERC candlestick, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to place a position here. My stop loss slightly below this zone. If it takes me out, I'll add another position. And then my take profit on the next weekly zone, right? So let me go to the weekly. So I'm planning to take profit here. You understand? I'm planning to take profit there, right? So yeah, it's a good trade. It's a 1 to 4, you know. So yeah, it's a breaker towards the upside, and the market was in this. The market formed this impulsive movement. We have a corrective phase over here. We manipulated the lows, and now we're waiting for a break of structure towards the upside. So, like I said, the conservative approach would be to wait for the market to break this consolidation high. So wait for the market to break these highs so that you can get a position, right? And also get a favorable risk to reward, right? And then you can get your position and then move towards the upside, right? So yeah, these are my thoughts on USDCHF. Let's move on to the final pair of the week. All right, so the final solid setup that I see this week is on USDZAR. So USDZAR, as you can see, we got our first position right here a few weeks ago, a few months ago. We've been holding this for a while, right? I just want to do this. We've been holding that for a minute now, and previous weeks, 2 weeks ago, we tried to add a position, but that failed. So now we're trying to add positions to capitalize because the market still has a long way to go to our final take profit, right? Let me just, yeah, the market has a long way to go. Now, yeah, let's go to the daily to see where we can add positions, right? Now, if you look at the daily, you can see that we had an area of liquidity here. We had a low, and the market had incentive to take out that low because there was a fair value gap here. I think you may have seen it on the weekly. And so the market took out this liquidity over here, went into the zone, moved toward the upside, and took liquidity from this high, right? Now, after taking liquidity from that high, you need to look at certain things. First of all, where are the fair value gaps? We had the first one here being filled, and this is the source of that fair value gap, right? Now we have another one here, right? And there's actually a demand zone here. Now, after establishing that there's a demand zone, we need to analyze whether or not it's confirmed. Is it confirmed? It has resulted in a break of a opposing zone. So it's confirmed, it has a strong imbalance, consolidation away. So the first area where I'm going to be looking to buy is this demand zone over here. The second thing you need to look at is the fact that we have this right here, which is an area of liquidity, right? Let me just delete these ones. So we have that area of liquidity there. The market has incentive to take out this area of liquidity. And then after taking out that area of liquidity, go lower to fill in this gap, tap into this order block before moving towards the upside. Now, say for example, the market actually continues higher. What you want to see is the market breaking the structure over here and returning, forming a pullback to go back to that area, right? Or you want to see the market breaking this high, actually, this one over here. Because if the market does not break this high, essentially, when we are looking at the supply and demand curve, you will be selling, or you will be buying, sorry, you will be buying at a seller's territory. Please watch the video where I explain the supply and demand curve so that you can have a better understanding, right? Just because you see a correction doesn't necessarily mean that that's an optimal level to be buying from, right? I hope that makes sense. And that's all I have for you guys. I have a segment called The Trader's Mindset. I call it my mini podcast because That's where we explore different topics pertaining to trader psychology, right? And just the things that I've learned on my path on becoming a profitable trader, right? And as time goes, I think I'll be giving insight into my own personal journey and sharing things that I've learned along the way, sharing my struggles, talking about the things that I struggle with. And so if that's the kind of content that you're looking for, stick around, subscribe if you haven't, and also check it out. Watch some of the videos that I uploaded under that playlist. So yeah, it's been great. See you guys in the next video. Peace.